In this episode of Highlight Sundays, what's to come on the horizon? Hello and welcome back to Highlight Sundays. It is the 33rd week of 2014 and here are your highlights. We start off with our, not really a PSA of the week. I guess this particular article covers something that is pretty close to our theme this week, and that is something that is new, something that's up and coming. I also put this at the spot where we normally do our PSA because this is security related. This article comes from Engadget and is entitled Hackers Transform a Smartphone Gyroscope into an Always-On Microphone. So here's the deal. A gyroscope is a component inside your phone that basically detects movements. Now the thing is, sound waves are also basically little movements of air. And what that means is, technically your gyroscope can actually pick up sound waves, in particular speech. Now the article does mention some things that perhaps may mean that this isn't an entirely practical thing. For one, the gyroscope actually needs to be working fast enough to actually pick up meaningful data. According to the article, you can actually pull an iPhone gyroscope up to 100 times per second, and what that means is, that's not quite enough to actually capture the frequency of, voice. While on the other hand, Android devices actually allow you to go up to 250 Hz. In other words, it's actually better suited to pick up voice. Of course, even if you get fuzzy information, this can be actually cleaned up by speech recognition software, and in other words, this might be some way in which someone can actually eavesdrop on you. Now thankfully it seems that an exploit like this isn't out in the wild just yet, and Google is actually already aware that, there is this risk, and they're actually working in getting their defenses up. And of course what this means for us as consumers is, we probably don't have to worry too much about this. Alright, let's move on to our next article. This one comes from Gizmodo and is entitled Some Simple Software Could Help Your Phone Charge in Minutes, Not Hours. Now this sounds too good to be true, but it does seem that there is some work going into this that's making it possible. Apparently this is something that can be done entirely in software, and basically the way it works is it keeps checking with the battery to see how much charge it can take. Essentially what's going on here is that the software is actually micromanaging the amount of current that is being used to charge the battery, and some positive side effects of using this is that the battery can actually last for a longer time, in addition to the fact that it will charge faster. Based on an example given in the article, apparently you can get as much as a 4 times speed up in the amount of charging you get. The example given is if you actually charge your phone right now for 15 minutes, you might get 1.5 hours of talk time. If you actually make use of the software mentioned, you can get up to 6 hours, just from a 15-minute charge. Definitely very interesting, and if feasible, definitely this will be something that should be on all devices from this point forward. Moving on, once again, we have yet another article from Gizmodo. This one is entitled Future Wearables Could Communicate Via Reflected Wi-Fi. Now, I particularly like this idea because it's extremely innovative. Basically, here's how it works. If you have, say, a wearable, you generally want it to have as long of a battery life as possible. However, the demand for these devices is such that they have to be able to do a bunch of things. One of the features you tend to see a lot is communication. And communication is one of those things that might be quite battery hungry. And that is why this concept is so cool. Basically, if you are near any place that has a Wi-Fi network going on, wearables equipped with this reflected Wi-Fi technology can actually make use of these signals and sort of reflect them in a smart way to carry some information. Since they don't actually have to broadcast their own signal, they're not using as much battery. In fact, the mechanism used to perform this entire reflection thing actually only takes up 0.01% of the battery consumption of actually having some kind of Wi-Fi transmitter. So yeah, it's a very smart idea, and currently it's been tested at up to distances of 8 feet, and apparently it can carry data up to 3 megabits per second, so that is actually pretty impressive. Definitely looking forward to seeing what this technology can bring for us. Alright, let us move on to our last item for the day. This one isn't really, our usual recommendation of the week, but it's an article that has some pretty practical use, especially if you're on the internet. This article comes from Lifehacker and is entitled 5 Things I Learned About Self-Promotion Without Being a Spambot. Self-promotion is a pretty delicate thing. There's a fine line you don't want to cross, and well, some people, myself included, might actually be so afraid of the idea that we just end up doing no self-promotion at all. In fact, that is the case with me. I don't actually promote the stuff that I do online. This article actually provides 5 tips and tricks as to, well, how you can actually self-promote in a way that is acceptable and a way that actually works. Definitely a very interesting read, especially the way things are going today. Well, people tend to have projects of their own that they want to push out. So these are some good tips to consider as to how you want to do that. But yes, that pretty much wraps it up for this episode of Highlight Sundays. Well, we have no vlog segment today, so I'm gonna go ahead and close off this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, you're watching 0612 TV. Hello! If you enjoyed this video, don't forget I appreciate every like, favorite and comment you give me. If you'd like to see more from me in the future, don't forget to subscribe. For more updates outside of YouTube, do follow my official Twitter account at 0612 TV. And if you'd like to see more of my work, you can also check out my About Me page. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, you're watching 0612 TV.